Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
I'm back, if just temporarily today. Good morning, everybody, on this Thursday. I have taken a couple of my pain meds this morning, so Lord knows where this is going to go. And for those of you who don't know, I had back surgery yesterday, and Nick Geddes is kind enough to jump in here on a Thursday and help me out. What's up, partner? How are you?
I'm doing good. I hope you're doing good, actually, because I mean, let's honestly.
Am I slurring my words?
No, you sound
yeah.
great. You sound great so far, but the fact that you had back surgery, 48 hours ago, somewhere in that time frame?
It would be
not even
less than 24. At this time yesterday, I was in my nice little shower cap and gown, getting ready to go in.
And here you are somehow sitting in an office chair.
I can sit in an office chair now. I can't. I'm get up and walk around, walk the dogs this morning, and I went to Bucs-Panthers, which of course I've represented them for quite some time. In 2016, they put a spacer in my neck when I had a huge, very painful pinched nerve, and haven't had any pain since. Went in yesterday. They do the minimally invasive surgery, just a little incision, go in, knock you out. Next thing you know, you're coming out, and it's like, wow. A lot of the pain is gone. I've gone about 2 years, a year and a half, with having very little feeling in 2 of my toes. And even already this morning, I'm like, wow, there they are. So, yeah, we had stenosis of the spine. And many of you guys probably have this, where it just constricts your spinal cord. And there's like a couple layers of mine that were just absolutely, there was no room at all for the nerves and everything to go through. So they go in there and they open that up, and it allows your nerves and everything to breathe a little bit. And since they're not cutting through the muscles, you're back to work in 3 days. I'm gonna work Saturday night, work the Lightning game Saturday night. So now golf's probably going to be a month or 2 months off, but it's amazing. It's amazing what they can do, and I could not recommend Bucs-Panthers more highly. Dr. Bono is an absolutely incredible surgeon. Their entire team there. Big thanks to Maureen and Jen and everybody that makes you feel so comfortable, like you're not nervous at all. The anesthesiologist said, hey, if you want something, I'll take a little, it's like having a couple of drinks, take the edge off. I'm like, sure. And like they put it in your IV, and within like 30 seconds, you're like, hey, I'll have another one. So now, great team over there. Really, it's only been less than 24 hours, but I feel good, feel great. The old days, you have back surgery, you're down in bed for like 2-3 months because they cut through the muscles and do all that. None of that anymore. So shout out to Bucs-Panthers, and really,
you are much older than I, and you are much tougher than I, because I've had one surgery in my life. It took place while I was in college. It was not on my back; it was on my ankle that I shattered. And the day after, the second those painkillers wore off from surgery, I was a baby, an absolute baby, and I wanted no part of it. So you're already tougher than I.
Yeah, I think I had a shoulder surgery that put me down for 2 weeks. It was awful. But this one's just, they've perfected it so much that you just can get up and go. And absolutely great procedure. All right, so let's talk some sports here. I'm wearing my USF hat because as I was laid up, I inflicted myself with watching that entire MRSA staff, NAA, whatever the hell it's called, Cure Bowl. No disrespect to USF. I know why they did it. They wanted to get, coaching change. There's a lot of positivity. Have a young team to get some more practices, go into the game, get a look at your backup quarterback for next year. A lot of good stuff can happen. I thought Gaston Moore, he won't be the quarterback next year, but Gaston Moore did a nice job getting his only start of his 25-year college career. The dude backed up Dylan Gabriel at UCF, right? I think that's, if I'm getting that right. Yeah. So attaboy to him. Unfortunately, he got hurt, but otherwise, it was a absolutely dreadful game. That was a terrible football game to watch. Not many people in the crowd. ODU wasn't much better. Their starting quarterback, who was the Sun Belt Player of the Year, he left, so he wasn't playing. You have 2 backup quarterbacks. The best quarterbacks are sitting on the sidelines. Byron Brown was. He didn't play, and he was coaching. So it was, this is what the bowl games have become. No disrespect to USF at all. They used it for, they got nice exposure, 5 o'clock on a Wednesday, a lot of eyeballs on your program. Unfortunately, he didn't play so great, lost to Old Dominion 24-10. But it's just there's some positives, but man, I just have no appetite for any of these bowl games, none whatsoever. It just,
they're
brutal.
hard to watch. They're hard. They are what was it, the LA Bowl last week that happened?
Oh my God.
I wasn't even aware that was a thing, to be honest with you.
Who thought that having a bowl in SoFi Stadium would attract anybody? A meaningless bowl. Even two really good programs in Washington and Boise State. And even they were like, whatevs, not interested. I think that they're going to have to revamp this bowl system. If you still want to have a bowl, have it at the beginning of the year. You can award the bowl games just like you do there based on this last season, or you can do a preseason ranking, or just have the bowl games, have some tie-ins and reach out to the teams and see if they want to come play. There'll be much more interest in it, obviously. You could set up some really interesting matchups in the game. If you wanted to make it a week 0 where it doesn't, quote, count on your playoff resume, imagine the games we could get,
Was there also a reason, like, I don't know what goes into the scheduling, but 5 o'clock on a Wednesday in probably in the running for the worst big stadium in the country.
Yeah.
Camping World, not a fun place. Never really, even when that place is packed, the atmosphere just feels like it's always off there.
Yeah.
Shank Stadium, I'm going to be completely honest.
It is.
What was it so difficult to have that game be played, at like 7 or something, like at just a better time? Like 5 o'clock just felt kind of odd. And right then and there, I don't know who's like getting pumped up about that, but it was what it was. It was a game. I don't really know what we were expecting because, Byron Brown's not playing in the football game. Your entire Golish is gone. The offensive coaching staff is gone. Like, I don't know who the main starters, who was necessarily playing in that game. It's just sort of the holdovers. The game is, it is what it is. It's meaningless, right? It was good to see Gaston Moore. He got a chance to play and everything. He did okay. He got lit up big time in that football game. He looks a little.
He did.
He's a little skinny. He's a little skinny.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. He doesn't have the Byron Brown build by any means. But that game was what it was. USF had bigger goals and they did not reach those. So it's on to the Brian Hartline era now. And you've already seen the portal is starting. Like this morning alone, 10 minutes ago, Fred Gaskin, starting DB, has entered the transfer.
Good player.
USF. And then last night after the game, Jarvis Lee, one of their best players overall, enters the transfer portal as well. So it's like kind of a thing where USF's going to have to, I hope, retool it rather than completely rebuild it. But it's a completely new coaching staff coming in with Brian Hartline, and obviously Tim Beck is going to be the offensive coordinator now, the former Coastal Carolina coach, and I think he was Ohio State's offensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
For about 2 years back in the day.
He's worked at some of the biggest and best programs. He knows college football. He knows recruiting. He's going to help Hartline out a lot, not only as an OC, but as a head coach in the head coaching duty. So,
and we'll see who the quarterback ends up being, because it's probably not on the roster right now, the USF starting quarterback next year.
I think that's fair. Although I was looking up on PFF. Trevor Sycamore, a good friend, does a quarterback draft ranking. And I'll just ask you right off the top, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but where do you think Byram would rank in this draft?
It's a very thin draft.
I looked at about 4 different lists. It's
a thin draft.
Yeah.
There's honestly like only 2 quarterbacks that I would even entertain taking in the first round.
Yeah.
And that would be if Dante Moore comes out. Full disclosure, I'm a Dante Moore stan, I guess, and I would take him 101. I'd take him over Mendoza. I think there's a higher ceiling there with him. But I do think
better
Mendoza,
athlete, can throw the football.
Yeah, but I think what you're going to get with Mendoza, and I think you need some quarterbacks like that around the league. Some safe options. Byron Brown, he still to me is probably going to be somewhere in that later round, maybe 5th round type thing. I still think that's probably his ceiling if he goes to the draft because he's just not. He's a great athlete.
26.
Yeah. Even fifth round might be generous. Like he's one of those guys, a great college quarterback, very fun to watch, but I don't think he's got the pro ability in him. So if I were him, I think he's probably going to come back for another year. But I just don't. It's hard to think that, we'll see what USF can come put together here, but I don't know if it's going to be at USF. I just don't know. But Rob Higgins has been very transparent, which I kind of appreciate.
Absolutely,
100%. Out of a CEO/athletic director, he's very transparent on what's going on. So I'm sure those discussions are still undergoing. I will tell you this. I mean, his price probably went up a little bit, yesterday for what it's worth.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I don't think it's a foregone conclusion he's gone. I mean, obviously, Hartline not being here, I'm sure he's communicating with Byram, and I'm sure they're doing everything they can to keep him. That's what Rob told us, and I do not doubt him one bit. But there's going to be obviously some much better opportunities for him, which I say much better just in terms of historical, bigger programs, P4. It's no slight to USF at all. But I would, if I'm him, I take a hard look at staying at USF. I mean, there's going to be some other opportunities. There's no question. But the grass is not always greener. But some of these SEC programs come calling. I think Auburn, where Golish went, I think they're stacked at quarterback. I think they've got a lot of young ones. I don't know if he's bringing Byram with him. If I were him, that would be a bad move because you're going to alienate your team right off the bat by doing something. That's what Norvell has done, and it doesn't work as a coach, in my opinion. But especially if you've got some good talent that your program has started to develop and recruited. I think it's one of the things we're seeing in this transfer portal that coaches are starting to say, and players as well. It's not the pastures may be greener in terms of the money, but not necessarily in your future. I think most of the different situations we've seen, I think, have played out that way. But there have been some good worked for Cam Ward tremendously well. So,
I was going to say it's just sort of the reality. It's not just a USF thing, but when you're a G5, G6 quarterback and you're really successful at your stay, it's just really difficult in today's college football to keep that player put. And if you look at last year, Tulane had, Darian Mensah was probably the best G6 quarterback last year.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the portal and he got a bag to go play at Duke, and he was fantastic this year at Duke.
Turned out really well for him.
You just mentioned Cam Ward. He was at Incarnate Ward, and then he went to Washington State, and then he went to Miami, right? He had the progression where he just kept moving upward. So that stuff just sort of happens. It is what it is. It's hard to keep those guys put.
And we have to, even though we mentioned those players that are going in the portal, it doesn't mean they're gone. They're just looking at their options. And of course, it obviously forces USF to come up with more money. I mean, it's just it's a leverage play, and you can get all be upset about it and get mad at the players and all this stuff, which I think is completely silly. It's the way the game is. The players have been forced into this situation. Trust me. Do they enjoy getting paid? Absolutely. Is loyalty some of it? Look, this new coach could come in here and say, hey, you know what? I don't think you're that good of a player. You don't fit our system. Go find yourself someplace else to play. Like Dion did. I'm bringing baggage and it's Gucci. So it works both ways. I'm not getting mad at the players. I'm not getting mad at the coaches. I'm mad at the people running college football because you guys are a bunch of self-interested buffoons, all of you. There's not, and I listen, I think some of these commissioners are good for their leagues, but they're not good for college football. Greg Sankey is doing a great job at taking care of the SEC, meanwhile screwing everybody else in college football. That's his job. I get that. So we need real leadership to come outside of the SEC, outside of the Big Ten, maybe in some form of legislation that needs to be made, but somebody has to start taking care of college football and the fans instead of this mismatch hodgepodge of what's best for the SEC, what's best for the Big Ten, what's best for ESPN, but it's certainly not best for the entire college football world. And USF is caught right in the square. And I think in Florida State, to some degree, too, the way they've slipped, they're caught right in the crosshairs now. What does this look like? And will you be a part of it? I think Florida State obviously has a top 10 brand still. I don't think they have an issue, but who knows? Who knows where this goes, right? But we need real, honest, informed people, a czar, a committee, to just blow this shit up and start all over again, because we're at an existential crisis point in college football. And I heard probably 5 or 6 different pleas to that yesterday from Eli Drinkwitz, almost every major college coach that's doing their bowl game pressers now are talking about it, that the game is a effing disaster and it has to be reined in. And not just talking about, we can't pay the players anymore. That's not what I'm talking about. We need guardrails and contracts. We need guardrails and coaching contracts, coaching and poaching. We need a different calendar for all of that. And it all needs to be blown up because this is what you get. You're going to have another 2 weeks of crappy ball games that nobody cares about. Players don't want to play in. The only people that are making money are ESPN and the gamblers. That's all they care about. That's not good for college football. So as we go through all these machinations, I would caution everyone, if you're a fan of Florida State, USF, Florida, Miami, whatever it is, if somebody goes into the portal or leaves your team, don't go on social media and rip him. Just stop with that. It's childish. It's naive. It's dumb. It's hurtful. Stop it. If you want to get mad at somebody, get mad at Greg Sankey and all the commissioners and administrators that are running college football. That's who you should be mad at, not the players.
I got Oregon receivers. I got an Oregon receiver that just entered the portal this morning. An Oregon receiver. They have like all these receivers injuries, and they're playing in a playoff game on Saturday.
2 days before your playoff game. Your players are worried about where I'm going to go and play in the portal. Coaches leaving, coaches staying. Ridiculous. So ridiculous.
Yep.
All right. Let's get back to other sports here before I'm only probably going to do 30, 40 minutes, guys, and then I've got to go to get some sleep, lay down again. The Lightning play tonight against the Kings. Good news. Looks like Ryan McDonough may be back tonight. We might see Vassy tonight. They've been working out a lot in the pre-skates this week. Hagel's probably out after taking another cheap shot elbow from a Panthers player, which, by the way, I put it up there on Twitter, and all these Panther fans are in there, stop crying, blah, blah, blah. It's the entire NHL nation that's talking about this, not just Lightning fans and broadcasters. So for what it's worth, you guys when you have 2 cups, I guess you could say whatever the hell you want, but we know what the truth is.
Yeah. When is it just going to stop? Like it just, I feel like they keep every time like a Lightning fan or anybody in the NHL fan pushes back on, Hagel getting the headshot again. They always say, well, he knocked out our captain in the play. First of all, he didn't miss any time. That was a bang. That was a bang play in an NHL playoff game. And on top of that, we've gotten past the point of revenge, have we not? You sent the message in that series. You sent the message back again in a preseason game, and the Lightning obviously sent their message back too. Like, we've already and revenge has already been enacted multiple times over. There, like at this point, you have to start worrying about the long-term health of Brandon Hagel here, because these headshots and these elbows, they start to add up. They just do. And now he's going to miss more time again. And by the way, to be honest, I thought the McCullough elbow on Gensel was arguably even worse in that hockey
Absolutely
game.
It was.
And I give Gensel a lot of credit. That's not a guy, and Cooper said it after the game. I mean, Jake Gensel is not the type of guy to get in somebody's face and just start dropping the gloves, especially with someone who's like 6 inches taller than him.
He's the first fight in 11 years on the hockey.
Right. So, like, I think everybody in the Lightning is, like, sort of fed up with this, and it just feels like every time then the Lightning, retaliate, then all of a sudden it's like now we're doing hearings for them and their players are getting suspended. I think everybody's just over it. I think I saw, by the way, this year in the NHL, there's only been 2 hearings total for, like, anything across the league, which is just, it's mind-boggling. It's like, I don't know what NHL player safety is even doing this year. I guess they've just took the whole season off. I don't know. But we're tired of it. And honestly, I'm tired of these games against the Panthers, because all that stuff independent of it, that team is just in the Lightning's head. I can't explain it. It was just another game where, Kucherov gets crowded and he just can't play that way. Obviously, we know it. Bobrovsky stands on his head against the Lightning, whereas against everybody else this year, he's been honestly terrible. It's just
it doesn't help when you're missing wide open nets in the first period. Like
right, it's all compounded. It just seems like when they play that team, they're just so tight. They're just so tight when they play that hockey team. So they're in their head, but you move on from it, and we play the Kings tonight and try to get back on track here, because I think the Lightning, and John Cooper said the other night, that was a game between 2 tired hockey teams. Yeah. I think the Lightning are pretty tired, and they have 4 games this week, so. They
had 2 days off, which is good and rare at this point. Then they'll have 4 days off for the Christmas break. So they should get a little bit rested. And let's not forget that they're playing really good hockey. They're playing really good hockey.
For the most part, they're losing these games, but I like the way they're playing.
Yeah, they're 2-5-1, but they've been in almost every game except for maybe that Panthers game, and even that one they came back to 4-2 in the third and were making a push, and then the Panthers got another cheapie. So we'll see tonight. I think they bounce back tonight. We might get McDonough back, might get Vassy back. It'll be interesting to see because he was smoking hot when he was in there. He wasn't allowing anything. So his save percentage was at like 970 through that 5-game stretch. So hopefully his back or whatever it is better. All right, what else do we want to get to? The Bucs had Mike Evans. He did a nice interview yesterday on their website. Haven't been able to check out the whole thing, but he just talked about how excited he is to be back and really wants to make this playoff push. And man, if there's any personality in that locker room that can get guys going, it's not JPP. We love JPP, but it's Mike Evans. Mike Evans sets the tone for this team, and having him back and having him in there and have him bitching at the defense, frankly, as he walked off the field saying 3rd and 28, good. I hope he got up in every one of their faces. As you turn on that tape, and I was watching some of the all-22, it's the defensive tape is just brutal. It's just brutal. Guys not getting off blocks and that's where you see effort and physicality, right? When you're trying to get off blocks, are you getting off blocks? Are you beating linemen to nope, none of it. And offensively, that offensive line that once was a bully is anything but. The interior of that offensive line is just getting overrun every single. I don't even want to. Is Derek Brown healthy? I knew he was hurt a couple times for Carolina, but I haven't seen the injury report. But I mean, he's going to have a field day against the interior of this line. It's and it's concerning. But listen, they can score points now. They've got their guys back, and if they can halfway protect Baker Mayfield, they can get some things done against this Carolina team, which is not explosive. They win games, they're 500. They're okay, but they're far from an explosive offense. It's a very, very winnable game for most teams. But the way the Bucs are playing right now, could they beat anybody? I don't know.
It's hard to trust the Bucs right now. But as we get closer to this game, I mean, it's hard to trust the Carolina Panthers too. That's my thing. It's like I don't think collectively Bucs fan base, people who cover the team, could be any more down or low on the Bucs than you are right now. But the Panthers, I don't think this is a good football team. Full disclosure, I don't. I know they're 7-7, but I think they're overachieving over their record. I truly believe that. And the Panthers have had multiple opportunities to sort of take this thing away from the Bucs and stop giving them multiple chances, and they have just failed to do it. They lost both games to the Saints this year. And then even when they had the big win in overtime against the Falcons a few weeks ago, then they have a big game on Monday night, which was probably the biggest game they had played in years against San Francisco 49ers. And they crapped the bed in that game. And they were totally non-competitive. And then they come back and they beat the Rams. And you're like, oh, the Panthers are for real. They have a bye week. They're going to come back. They're going to be rested. You play the Saints. Great opportunity to take first place. And they can't do that either. So, and they had a 17-7 lead in the fourth quarter. And they can't finish that. So for as bad as everything is right now in Tampa Bay, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I just have this gut feeling, JP, that the Buccaneers, I think they're going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it rather easily. And I can't believe I'm saying that. I just have that gut feeling in me. I think the Carolina Panthers just fail to take advantage of the opportunities that have been in front of them. And you keep giving the Bucs more lives to get out of this. As much as last week probably should have happened weeks ago with Bowles and all the players and everything, this thing hit a breaking point in this building. And I'm going to try to believe in the fact that Mike Evans, the way that he's been speaking and, him battling his ass to get back, and he wants to go out on a high note and he wants to get this thing going in the right direction. Baker Mayfield has been doing everything you want to hear out of your quarterback, saying, I give him credit. He didn't throw Todd Bowles under the bus yesterday. He didn't throw the team under the bus. He said, look at me, blame me. And Baker Mayfield deserves blame for sure. He doesn't deserve all of it, but he deserves some of it, but he's putting it all on him. And that's what you want to see your quarterback do, is take that accountability. And this Carolina defense, I know I see people saying that the defense for Carolina is miles better than the Bucs. I don't know about that. I don't. The Carolina defense is not very good, and if you look at them under Jairo Avero in the 3 years that he's been the Panthers defensive coordinator, they're like 26th or worse in every category defensively, and in some of them they're actually dead last. So I don't know if I'm a believer in Carolina's defense, and I don't think they can stop the Bucs offense. The only thing that can stop the Bucs offense, I think, when they have all those receivers back right now, is themselves. And Baker Mayfield just not seeing the field well and not letting the ball loose, taking bad sacks, things like that. I don't think Carolina is going to be able to stop that. And Carolina offensively, Rico Dowdle has not been as effective in the last 4 or 5 weeks as he was for that 3 or 4 run stretch in the middle of the season. They have Ted McMillan, I think, has 5 catches over the last 3 football games. Now he's going to face the Bucs defense, so maybe that changes, probably will. But I just don't think it's a very good Carolina team. And I think the Bucs offense, I mean, they scored 28 last week. They could have scored 40. I don't know. I just have this gut feeling the Bucs are going to win this football game, and they're going to give themselves a good chance.
Well, I was glad to see Todd Bowles yesterday was very loosey-goosey. He didn't seem like there was the weight of the world on his shoulders. And I think, Carolina losing to the Saints is just hopefully giving this team new life. It shouldn't come down to this, as you said, but it has. And I still don't have a whole lot of faith in Todd Bowles coming up with anything from a strategic standpoint that's going to win this game against Dave Canales, who knows his defense better than anybody. I think that's all your points on Carolina. I absolutely 100% agree with. I think they're being made out to be this super team that the Bucs can't beat. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying the way I'm focusing on the way the Bucs are playing, and they look like one of the worst coached teams in the league defensively. Offensively, there, as I mentioned, the interior line is not great. Baker's EPA has been among the league's worst for the last 5-6 games. And the injuries have really piled up on him, and that's why I think he's played poorly. Plus, I don't think he trusts the protection inside at all. You can see it.
He doesn't. I went back and watched the tape on.
Yeah. He as soon as he hits the back foot, he's running for his life.
I don't think it's all in the protection though. There are a lot of times where he's got clean pockets, but he just.
I agree.
Even when he's got clean pockets, he doesn't trust it though. I think that's a big problem. Exactly there's just a lack of trust right now between Baker Mayfield and everything in front of him. And there's times too when there is pressure, he's playing like a quarterback that's like 10 years older than he is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He is so afraid to and maybe I shouldn't use the word afraid. I mean, no quarterback wants to get hit, but he's not willing to get hit at all. Whereas if you watch Kirk Cousins in that game, the Bucs were getting pressure in Kirk Cousins' face, and he would just stand there and just make a throw over the middle of the field, and he would take it, knowing that it's going to happen. Baker Mayfield's not doing that. He's bailing pockets. He's trying to do superhero stuff. And the thing that's really getting him in trouble, he's dropping his eyes. There are moments where guys are open if he's able to rip it when pressure's coming, but he drops his eyes and he takes his eyes off down.
That's what I'm talking. That's not trusting your protection.
He starts going scrambling in scramble mode, and he just needs to realize that you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that.
Listen, it comes with the territory. And I've seen the greatest quarterbacks, including Tom Brady, do this. When you lose confidence in your guys up front, it's hard to play quarterback because your eyes just invariably go because you want to make a play. If you got a free runner up your ass every single time, and I talked to Graham Barton about this after the game, and he was just like, you can put it on me, put it on the offensive line. We're just not good enough. We have been really struggling against stunts and twists and stuff, and they just can't. They don't pass it off well between the two guards and the center. Everybody knows it, and everybody's doing it. So until you fix it, you're not going to be able to play effective. I love all these receivers coming back, but if Baker doesn't have time to throw and get the ball downfield, what good is it? What good is it? So I would never bet this game because I can tell you I have no freaking. If the Bucs blew out Carolina, wouldn't surprise me. Carolina blew out the Bucs, wouldn't surprise me. None of that would surprise me. It's just one of those games that's going to come down to really, and it sounds cliche as hell. Who wants it more? Are you going to stop Rico Dowdle? Are you going to get off blocks and stop him? Otherwise, they're going to run him right down your throat. Are you offensively going to get to your landmarks as receivers, which is lacking? Are you going to stop in the middle of a route and allow an interception? There's nobody on this field. Even Tristan Wirfs is not at his best. That is playing at or above their level. Nobody.
I thought Tristan was as dominant as it gets on Thursday.
He's getting better. He's getting better, but there's still, some plays in the run game that he's leaving out there. Gedicke's been good since he came back. I see nothing wrong, but everybody else is Mike was awesome. I
was going to say the big takeaway is all the receivers came back.
Yeah, and this is the thing. These older players in this league now are so much better than the younger players, because the younger players are coming in here. They have I think a lot of them don't really have a passion and the love for the game. They've grown up in this Instagram world, and it's more about their posts than it is about playing. And Mike's not that guy, and Aaron Rodgers ain't that guy, and Tom Brady wasn't that guy. All these old heads that are coming back to play, I wouldn't be surprised if JPP got on the field and gave us something. Because these younger players just don't have it.
I think Mike, and I think Levante probably feels the same way too. The difference is Levante, from a physical standpoint, is just shot completely, and Mike's not. Yeah. But I think they do have the same mentality that they were around for some really tough years in Tampa Bay.
They know what it looks like.
They know what it looks like, and I think Mike sort of felt that on Thursday night. Like, I know what this looks like, and I'm not letting this shit happen. Not on my watch. If I gotta mother F everybody and go a little out of character and stand up a little bit more and be that rah-rah leader guy, I'm going to do it, because I'm 32 effing years old. I don't even know when my last snap's ever going to be. Hell, when I fell against Detroit and I'm laying on the ground, I thought my season was over. Hell, I might have thought my career was over, but it wasn't. And I came back and I'm balling 6 for 132, and he's just sort of shrugging it off because he's got high standards for himself, of course. But yeah, I just don't think they want to let that happen. But my point that I was going to make is when the receivers came back, we got to see it for one game. And, Mike looked great. Chris only had like 3 catches or something. But, I mean, the catches he made, the ones there at the end zone where he had the octopus first, the touchdown, and then the 2-point conversion, I still don't understand how he snatched that out of the air, because Baker threw it so far behind him. I don't even know how he made an attempt at that, let alone caught it. So he's been looking really good. Abuka, I thought, was running some crazy good route. He's been running great routes all year. It's just a matter of catching the football. He caught it on Thursday, and he had a great game. And Jalen McMillan, I got to hand up. I really did not think Jalen McMillan coming back was going to make that much of a difference, because I was like, this guy got a fractured neck. He hasn't played all year. I don't know how effective he's going to be if he's just sort of there, I thought. No, on Thursday night, man, the routes, he was getting himself open. If he got the ball more, you would have saw Jalen McMillan, I think, pushing for 100 yards. I truly mean that. And that's wide receiver 4 in the offense we're talking about. Cade Otton didn't play in that game, and all of a sudden, Devin Culp was open on a handful of plays, caught a touchdown. Dane Durham was actually running free a lot of the times. He just never got the football. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, as bad as the Bucs defense is, and while I have no trust in them, this offense, I just don't think they should have a trouble scoring 30 if they really want to. And you just want to believe that the Bucs defense can do just enough to help them out and make it to where 30 is enough to win a football game. The same way 28 should have been enough to win a football game last Thursday.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's get to some comments before I get out of here, partner. Michael LaRue, good morning to you. You're going to have to put them up. We'll start from the beginning.
Oh, let me go up.
I can't do it. Michael LaRue says Old Dominion quarterback Quinn Heineckel, Heineckel was knocked out cold and came up wobbly. He had to be helped to the field and somehow only missed one play. I guess the concussion protocol doesn't exist in college. Yeah, that was a little weird. I got to admit, that kid was concussed, and back he comes. So there you go. Michael also says the Tampa Bay has gone from Bowles is probably gone to let's just see how this plays out. Minimum progress coming into the season was 11 regular season wins or not losing the home playoff game. Listen, I think, and I agree with you, Michael. Listen, I said it last year. They should have taken Liam Cohen over Todd Bowles. I think we've, again, the disclaimer, we love Todd tremendously, but he's just not the guy that's going to bring you to the Super Bowl. He's not. And if you got to replace him eventually, you must do it immediately. And they didn't do it last year. But barring an NFC Championship game appearance, or even you got to win the home playoff game if you get there. I think he's probably gone. And I think that's fair. think it's completely fair.
And winning a home playoff game would be meaning that you beat Seattle for the second time this year,
Or the Rams.
or the Rams, and avenging that debacle from 3 weeks ago. So if that happens, yeah, it probably is going to be really tough for the Glazers to say, well, I think we should move on then. It just is. I'm not saying that is the right process or anything. I'm just saying that probably is going to be how this goes down. If they get to a home playoff game and they beat a Rams or a Seahawks team who look like the two best teams in the conference right now, he's probably going to stay independent of what happens after that.
Yeah, and let's see how it plays out. All right, give me the next one. You want to just go down? Just like the Bucs, JP is limping to the end of the year. But I got up and I'm ready to play. Less than 24 hours later. Let's go. Next question.
Let's see. Sergio with the jokes. JP coming out of IR today. Looking forward to him back. The backups aren't.
Wow, Nick. I'd take that personally if I were you. Next.
Thomas Castro. Bucs have better Hard Rock odds to win Super Bowl today than they did last 2 years at this time.
Is that crazy? What are you watching?
I don't know.
It's all about public perception. So I don't know. They're a division leader, so they probably get their props because of that. But I have a bet on them. I don't know what is it, like 66-1, I think, to start the season, but something like that. But
are you sitting on a whoopee cushion? John Hill.
I am not sitting on a whoopee cushion. No, I am not.
No.
That was real.
Aviation 1436. I hope this team can show up pissed off, holding each other accountable, and play some ball. Yeah, I think that's what we're looking for at this point. The accountability after the week that we had has got to be there.
What if after the Bulls tirade and the Mike J and everybody getting pissed off, what if they come out and play their best game, run the table? Are we all not going to be sitting here and say, yeah, this is what we've been asking for, Todd, for 3 years? Get off your ass, show some fire, light these boys up, get them fucking motivated, and let's go.
Yeah.
That's what we'll be saying.
Took note of this yesterday. We'll get there. We'll cross this bridge when we get there. But Miami bringing in their backup quarterback to face the Bucs. Ewers is going to throw for 300 yards against this defense. A poetic end to the Bulls era. Get torched by another backup. Let me tell you, that's the alternate scenario here. I'm picking the Bucs to win this week, but the DEFCON 1 scenario is they lose to the Panthers this week, and then the Quint Ewers-led Miami Dolphins beat the Bucs.
Put them out of their misery.
Miami, and put on week 17. Eliminate the Bucs from the playoffs, put them out of their misery, and at that point, we'll all know that this is done. So there's two ways this can go. There are two ways this can go, but let me tell you, I think everybody in Bucs Nation was like, can you just leave Tua in there for one more week longer? Can you just let him play through the Bucs game, please?
Well, I don't know how much better Ewers is going to be. I mean, let's remember him at Texas. It wasn't.
Yeah, and I love when quarterbacks get benched, by the way, and then Mike McDaniel's like, we believe Ewers gives us the best chance to win, but 48 hours ago we didn't believe in him enough to be the backup. We had him we had him inactive. We had Zach Wilson, but we're not doing that. So
we had to see one more. Yeah.
It's funny how that works. He adds, does any fan want to see the Bucs in the playoffs? Winning this trash division gets you a first-round ass whooping courtesy of the Rams or Seahawks, a lower draft pick, and our awful head coach still employed.
You ain't wrong.
You're not really wrong.
I can't root against them. You got to take advantage of the opportunity in front of you. It doesn't come often. There's 15 other teams that would love to be in our position and fan bases. So you don't root against the Bucs to lose. You hope. Listen, if Todd Bowles goes on a run and they win a Super Bowl, you gonna be mad? I mean, I know the chances are, even if they get to the NFC Championship game, you're gonna be mad, or you're gonna give them his props.
If they get to an NFC Championship game, I mean, we can't really say anything at that point.
No, but how are we gonna do that? Are we gonna outscore everybody 40-35, and he's the defensive coordinator?
I said it on Monday. It's going to take Baker Mayfield literally locking into the Baker Mayfield version we saw at times last year. And the offense, like you just said, you're going to have to start winning shootouts. That's.
And I don't think he's going to get any better with that same interior offensive line.
We'll see. We'll see. Aviation 1436 adds, if those guys don't come out pissed off, it'll really show you how much string Todd has left. Well, they've been saying after every loss that, we're pissed off and we're frustrated and we've got to go show that. And they continue not to do it. So yeah, the trend hasn't been kind to that. Let's see here. You got a few more before we let you out. Chris Myers and Mark Schlereth will be announcing the Bucs-Panthers game on Fox. Not exactly must TV.
Oh, you busted on my
TV.
man Chris Myers? Are you kidding? That's my dude.
Listen, the only announced crew.
A hell of a lot better than freaking whoever with Jonathan Vilma. Get that guy off.
I was gonna say when Jonathan Vilma's calling your game, that means there's zero stakes going on. And I feel bad because I love.
He's a really good analyst.
Yeah, I think Schlereth's underrated. I actually love Kenny Albert too. I just not really a fan of Vilma. Good. Yeah, not really a fan of Vilma being next to him.
Somebody mentioned moving Wirfs to left guard and putting Chikuma in at left tackle. And as good as Chikuma played, and I was amazed. And you look at his feet, man, I've said it since I saw him in training camp. This guy's going to be a really good player. And I don't know if he can play guard, but obviously he's got such little experience. I mean, I know that sounds absolutely bananas, but I honestly, those are your best 5 players. I mean, Michael Jordan, God bless him, and Feeney are just awful.
Michael Jordan shouldn't be in the league. Like I'm sorry. Like, I'm sure he's
I know that sounds like, we're going to move the best left tackle to. Did you see Chikuma play? And did you see the 2 interior guards, and which is affecting the center as well, who's now getting overwhelmed? I don't know. I think it might be crazy, but at this point, you're in desperation.
Is Luke Haggard still hurt?
I guess.
I thought he's better. I thought he's better than Feeney and Jordan, personally.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a big dude, man. He's a big dude.
No, but you can't move Wirfs now. That's just too.
I know, but I mean, if you want your best, and it's not about Wirfs, it's about how bad the guards are.
Yeah,
and I don't think that Chikuma can play guard. I think that's too much to ask for him. He just hasn't played enough football in his life. He's got, he's still working on figuring out tackle, but I thought he did really well.
I guess
anything else?
Last one here before the break from Nathan Elliott. Some optimism we can end it with. The odds could have improved because Evans, Godwin, McMillan, Ibuka, and Irving all being back on offense. Who knows? I think that's in regards to the Super Bowl. The odds for the Bucs being higher. I will say this: you mentioned Bucky Irving. That was the one other thing from last week that I think it make much sense. And I think Rachaad White only had 1 carry in that football game,
20 yards,
and it went for 20 yards, and then he just disappeared. And by the way, Bucky's back, and Bucky is, I think, a weapon in the pass game, but it kind of is weird. It's like flipped from last year, where all of a sudden Rachaad is actually picking up more yards on the ground when he gets his chances than Bucky is.
Yeah,
and
he's much better.
And the same thing goes for Sean Tucker. I don't know. I don't think Rachaad getting 1 carry and Tucker getting 2 and Bucky getting 15 or whatever it was. I don't think that's the right distribution at this moment in time. That's a strength. You got a stacked room. I think you should use it. Don't just lean on Bucky to do everything.
And what did we throw the ball 34 times last week? Was he 19 to 34? I mean,
too many passes. Too many passes.
You can't protect the passer. I think these guys run block better than they pass block, but it's both of them are atrocious. So it is what it is. All right, boys. I will be back tomorrow with Timothy. Nick, thanks for hanging in here today. I know you got a few more blocks to go, so we appreciate all you. Thanks to all of our sponsors. The Griveters, great place to watch the game tonight. Head on out there. If you want to watch hockey and some of the other offerings, always the best food, best staff. Italiano Insurance, get your checkup right now, 813-877-7799. They'll save you hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars heading into the new year. The Golden Diamond Source, last-minute shopping, folks. You got to get over there. They have plenty of inventory, easy in, easy out, great deals going on, great staff. Makes it really easy for you. If you're dreading it, just go to the Golden Diamond Source. Tell them what your budget is. They'll get you something nice and wrap it up. You don't have to do anything. Cafe Paradiso for a weekend. You got family in town? Go on over to Cafe Paradiso and have a great Italian meal. Tell Paulo I sent you. All right, guys. Nick's coming back with a lot more. I'll see you tomorrow.
At Genesis of Tampa, they got some serious ho-ho-ho going on this Christmas. It's the Miracle Holiday Sales Event and their 30 Days of Giving. First, for any new vehicle in the month of December sold, first payment will be deferred 90 days, and then the dealership will make the first payment up to $500. That can save you a lot of cash that you can use for Christmas shopping. And every day in December, they're giving away a $500 shopping spree. All you got to do is have your car appraised, and you get an entry into the daily drawing for the $500 shopping spree. And every weekend day in December, customers simply need to stop by the dealership, scan the QR code, and they get an entry into the $500 shopping spree contest. No purchase necessary. Test drive a vehicle, and we will 10x your entry into the shopping spree. Christmas and New Year's Eve, each holiday, if a customer books a test drive for the specified day, they will receive a themed t-shirt, limited edition, as well as an additional $250 off the purchase price. Bottom line is, get your butt and your sleigh down to Genesis of Tampa, 801 East Bears Avenue, just off 275. It's going to be a big Christmas at Genesis of Tampa. Italiano Insurance would like to congratulate the Bucs on their 50th anniversary season. And you know what? We've been here for every season and then some, over 60 years in business. We've seen some smart coaches with great game plans, but if you don't have flood insurance or business insurance, that's a terrible game plan. That could ruin you financially. You don't want to take that L. So call 813-877-7799 and let their friendly agents quarterback your insurance and save you big money. Italiano also sponsors our FSU report every week, so go Noles. 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. JP here for Riveters, the official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. We're located just south of Ray J and Steinbrenner Field, so it's a great pre- and post-game spot, and the happy hour is amazing. Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. Check out these specials. $3 Bud Light drafts, $4 domestic bottles, $5 wells, $6 premium wells, $6 cocktails like margaritas. That's unheard of. And the Riveters food is freshly made daily. No freezers. Happy hour food specials include $3.50 tacos and barbecue sliders. $6 you get edamame or chips with the beer cheese, which is amazing. $8 buffalo chicken dip, my favorite. The truffle fries, chili cheese fries, also $8 at happy hour. As well as other specials throughout the week, including Taco Tuesdays, you get $3 tacos, and Wing Wednesdays, 7 o'clock to 1 a.m. in the morning, you get our amazing wings, 5 for $5 and $5 wells and wines. That's a good Wednesday night. So if you're tired of the preppy, overpriced generic sports bars, come see the amazing, friendly bartenders and staff at Riveters, where customer service really matters. Riveters, just south of where the Rays and Bucks play. We'll see you there. Although it may seem tempting to go without health care insurance, the financial risk far outweighs the gain you may experience. For example, did you know if you simply broke your leg, it could cost you nearly $7,500? Put on top of that a hospital stay, you could be looking at $10,000 to $15,000. Ensuring that you don't go uncovered is so important, as according to CNBC, high medical bills are the highest contributing factor to why Americans end up taking money out of their retirement savings, or worse, find themselves filing bankruptcy. So go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. Now, depending on your income, you can get plans for zero premium. Our experts will guide you through the process effortlessly. They will shop many plans and find the one that's right for you. I called and I have full health coverage through Florida Blue for zero monthly premium. It's a free call. So why go uncovered? It's a huge risk. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505. Hey, JP here for my concierge medical professional, Chris Lugo, PA. You've heard him on the show for a couple of years, where he shares invaluable medical, nutritional, and supplement advice. With Chris, it's like having a medical provider as your best friend. What I love about this concierge service is the convenience and support he offers. I can text or call him 24/7 with any questions or concerns, and he'll promptly call in a prescription if needed. No office visits or co-pays required. It gives me peace of mind knowing I have someone genuinely invested in my health, not just focused on insurance profits. And the best part, the Bay Area Modern Medical Center's personal concierge service is more affordable than you might think. Don't let insurance companies dictate your health care. Take control of your health and wellness today. Visit BAMMC.com for more information and to schedule your initial free consultation. Empower yourself and take charge of your personal health with BAMMC.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on a Thursday. Nick Eddy's filling in here for JP. Appreciate him for joining us here for the first 30 or so minutes after he had back surgery. Very kind of him to do. Appreciate that. He'll, like he said, he'll be back tomorrow for, it sounds like, a full 2 hours with Timmy as they continue to break down this Bucs-Panthers game on Sunday, which could decide first place in the NFC South at the end of the season. A lot of variables to go, but that's going to be obviously a big one, and we dove into it a little bit there. We're going to keep it rolling here. I'm going to try to cover as many topics as I can. You guys have been awesome in the comments so far. If there's anything you guys want to get to, feel free to mention it, and I'll answer any questions. I'll talk about anything you guys want to talk about for sure. But we were hitting comments there, and we had a super chat from Jimmy Voyager, and I was going to talk a little Rays here today anyway. So let me pull up Jimmy's super chat where he says, any updates on the Rays? So I wanted to talk about the Rays today because we had the winter meetings have gone and passed. The Rays were, by their standards, pretty active during the winter meetings, signing Cedric Mullins, signing Steven Matz to a 2-year contract where it sounds like, and Neander, I think, said it yesterday or the day before, that they're going to give him a look at the rotation. He was more of a reliever last year, but it sounds like they're going to give him a shot to be in this rotation. So it's very interesting because the rotation right now, if you go look at the 40-man roster, who are options to be starters? You've got Shane Baz is still there. Joe Boyle is there. Matz is now there. Shane McClanahan, Ryan Pepio, Drew Rasmussen, Ian Seymour obviously has a lot of experience starting down in AAA. So you have a plethora of options. I think that's like 7 guys right now, and you got 5 spots. Shane McClanahan yesterday, the Rays agreed. They avoided arbitration, and they signed him to a 1-year contract for $3.6 million. And listen, arbitration is kind of a weird system, obviously, in baseball. I know Shane McClanahan hasn't pitched in over 2 years, but you know, when he has pitched, he's been a guy that looks like he's capable of winning a Cy Young, and he's been a 2-time All-Star, started the All-Star game. It's just kind of funny that that's the $3.6 million. It's quite literally nothing for a pitcher of his caliber when he's been healthy, but obviously he hasn't been healthy in some time. The Rays are counting on him to come back this year. Me personally, it's hard to put so much stock in that right now. You know, McClanahan, what you're going to get. It's like one of those things where we'll see it when we see it. You know, I'm not buying anything. Last year, we thought Shane McClanahan was going to be ready to go by the start of the season, look good in spring training, and then he had the injuries, and he ended up never coming back. So it's hard to just sort of say Shane McClanahan's going to be, you know, penciled in at the start of the season in this rotation. I just don't know about that at this juncture. It'd be great. And of course, if he gets back to the form that he was, you know, pre all these injuries, that would be great too. I just am not convinced that we're going to get that. And that sort of leads me into some of these trade rumors and this reporting you've been seeing going on about the Rays possibly being in on Ketel Marte. It felt like last week there was a lot more noise and there was a lot more smoke about the Rays' interest in Ketel Marte. This week, everything has sort of feels like it's slowed down a little bit on that front. And clearly a player like Ketel Marte, I mean, that guy, I think I said it on Monday's show, we're talking about a top 15, top 20 type position player in all of baseball, right? Like that's the type of player he is. He's under contract for, I think, 5 more seasons. So if you were able to acquire him, you basically get him for the duration of the rest of his career. And hopefully he's the same player as he continues to age. He's a guy who's capable of hitting more than 30 home runs a year, driving in 100 runs, doesn't strike out a lot, good plate discipline. He's just a really talented ball player, and he would look good right in the middle of this Rays lineup. which I think sort of how they found it last year when they got all healthy. I think you like the nucleus of Jonathan Aranda, Junior Caminero, Yandy Diaz, those three guys. And then Brandon Lau is sort of TBD, because I think their pursuit of Ketel Marte sort of goes hand in hand with potentially trading Brandon Lau. We know that the Rays, historically, if they have a player going into the last year of their contract, and now Brandon's 31 years old, it seems like if they were ever going to trade him, this is the perfect time to do it. But it's a tricky thing to do because Brandon, we know the injury history that he has, but when he's on the field, we basically can tell you this guy's going to hit 30 home runs and he's going to drive in, around 80 runs. And at times he can carry your lineup. And I think last year at times he absolutely did. So it's a tricky thing to do. If you're trading Brandon Lau, it better come with, we're acquiring a Ketel Marte or we're acquiring another big bat. You can't let Brandon Lau out the building and trade him for, 2 prospects or whatever and not be able to replace the value in his bat in the middle of the order. So it's really complicated. And you also have to keep in mind, you don't have to trade Brandon Lau at this moment. If you let Brandon Lau come back this season and he's having a really strong year and maybe the Rays are not competing or whatever, and you get to the trade deadline, well, then Brandon Lau's value is going to be as high as it's ever been when you get there. And I think that was some of the reporting that I saw this week from Ken Rosenthal of why the Rays, haven't made the move yet or the decision on Brandon Lau is they're weighing that. Can we trade him now or do we wait a little longer, see how the season plays out? And then if the deadline, we're not in it or we're not competing and we could trade Brandon Lau then and he could be one of the best players available for trade and you can get, more value for him. So I think that's sort of what they're weighing right now when it comes to Brandon Lau. But as they're currently constructed, Brandon on the roster and some of the other guys I just went through, I'm trying to ask myself, does this look like a baseball team that is capable of making the playoffs next year? And where is that path? And right now, I got to be honest, it's hard to see it. The last 2 years have not been great. Last year, they had the nice run there in, late May and June. And then it seemed like July and after they just sort of fell apart and Toronto went on their run and they go to the World Series. And you look at Toronto, they made the World Series last year and they're not letting off the gas one bit. They go out and they set a tone in free agency and they go get Dylan Cease. And Kyle Tucker is obviously the big domino that is yet to fall in free agency. And we know the Blue Jays want him. And my gut is telling me he's probably going to be a Toronto Blue Jay. And I've seen enough reporting and enough predictions from very credible people that cover the game that sort of have him penciled in or predicted to be a Toronto Blue Jay. So the Blue Jays are going to be just as formidable, if not more, next year. Baltimore made a huge statement by going out and getting Pete Alonso and, giving that money to them. So all of a sudden you look at Baltimore's lineup and you go, that lineup, when healthy and when they're all playing at their best, can mash with anybody in the league. Pitching is certainly an issue with Baltimore, but I think Baltimore is ready to spend and they're ready to go for it. They recognize last year was a failure, and I think they're probably the leading contenders to go get Framber Valdez, who absolutely is a top-of-the-line starter. So they can fix that issue right there by going to get him. So I think Baltimore is going to be much improved. The Yankees, while they haven't made a big move this offseason, and it sort of sounds like they're not going to do that. In fact, it kind of feels like Cody Bellinger might just get sniped across by the Mets. It's kind of weird. The Mets keep taking all the Yankees players. They signed Luke Weaver yesterday. They've signed a couple other former Yankees, Devin Williams. Just seems like more players are wanting to play for the Mets than the Yankees. But independent of the Yankees making another big move or something like that, their roster is going to look different next year. But at the end of the day, when you have Aaron Judge, when you have the rotation they have, there's enough there where the Yankees are always going to be competitive. They're always going to be a team that's in the playoffs or right around it. They're not going to go anywhere. We know that. The Red Sox kind of overachieved last year for sure. They're kind of been looking around for a big move. It hasn't come to them yet. Are they going to have Alex Bregman? Like the Rays, they've been reportedly in on Ketel Marte. And I think the Red Sox might have more high-end guys with upside that they can move in trades than the Rays can. So we'll see if the Red Sox end up making that move for Ketel Marte. But point being, the Red Sox have a really good roster too. So I just went through the division. Forget the AL Central, which came to life last year with what the Tigers did and the Guardians still being competitive. You've seen the Royals making moves to get better this year, and they were a playoff team a couple years ago. You go to the AL West, the Astros are always there. The Mariners were a game or two away from making the World Series. The Rangers look like they have a really good roster on paper. They struggled last year. The AL right now is really deep. It's really deep. And I think the Rays, as currently constructed, if they were not to make any more moves from here on out and they went into this roster next season, it would take a lot of things going right for them, I think, to truly compete. And I think that's just the reality. And it's not like I don't like the Rays roster, how they're constructed. It might be one of those things where the Rays, I could see them winning 84 games next year. And unfortunately, that could be last place in the American League East. Like, I think that's kind of where they are right now. So I would kind of agree here with what Lonnie Wilkins says. The Rays need more bats and more depth. And I think the catcher position is interesting. Right now on the 40-man roster, you have Hunter Fiducia, Nick Fortes, Dominic Keegan. I'm intrigued by Dominic Keegan, and I'd like to see him get some opportunities. He's hit really well at times down in the minors, but I don't know if he's going to be ready to start the season. At currently constructed, it's probably just going to be Fiducia and Nick Fortes. Those two guys, I think we all would agree, they don't really provide much upside at the plate. Certainly. So I know people would want to see the Rays make a move at catcher, but there's just really not many, really upgrades, I think, out there at the catching position. I see people saying, well, what about JT Realmuto? JT Realmuto is not coming to Tampa Bay. And he's also 35 years old, so you have to worry about the inevitable decline. And I think the decline has already started with JT. So I think he's going to be well out of the Rays price range. He's going to go to a big market because that's what players like him do. He's not going to be a Ray. And outside of him, I don't see an obvious solution there at catcher. So I think that position is just going to be is what it is. Shortstop, I think, that's another position where we're looking for what that's going to look like, because I know everybody doesn't want to see Taylor Walls starting opening day next year. But I think as we get closer, I think the reality is there that Taylor Walls is probably going to be your opening day shortstop, and then they're going to mix Carson Williams in. And, Carson Williams was a guy who they brought up last year at the end of the year, showed some flashes, but, he wasn't ready. He was struggling last year in AAA before they brought him up, and the big thing comes to the strikeouts. He's got to figure out a way to get some better plate discipline. The only way that's going to happen is if he gets more at bats. So absolutely a player that is going to be on this roster on opening day, but he's definitely going to be in sort of a tandem with Taylor Walls. So I can't believe that, but 2026, I think Taylor Walls is going to be your opening day shortstop. And I absolutely sound thrilled about that for sure. And then the last thing, the outfield, the Cedric Mullins acquisition doesn't do much for me personally. He's 30, 31, 32 years old. He really struggled last year, especially when Baltimore traded him to the Mets. He gives you a little bit of pop. That's one thing I will say about Cedric Mullins. Since 2021 was the year he broke out. He had 30 home runs. And then since then, he's had 16, 15, 18, 17. So he gives you some decent pop. Not a huge strikeout guy or anything like that, but I just don't know. It feels like Cedric Mullins, one of those guys where it feels like he's closer to being out of the league entirely than being a high impact player. But obviously they're trying to bring a little bit more of the floor up with that group, because last year it was so bad. The Jake Mangum types, the Richie Palacios. They brought in Jake Fraley. Ryan Velaldi's another guy, 26-year-old who has hit really well at AAA and in the minors, but hasn't gotten a consistent shot at the major league level. I've seen a lot of people, the stat people are really into some of the stuff on Velaldi. So we'll see. But there's in Josh Lowe too. I think as time goes on, that 2023 season sort of just looks like the outlier, to be honest with you, with Josh Lowe. Injuries, inconsistency. There's really not a lot of pop in that bat. He's been striking out at at a high rate over his entire career, basically in Tampa Bay. I don't know about Josh Lowe. So the outfield to me is still a big question mark. But I think in general, I think the only guaranteed things in that lineup right now is those top 4 hitters, like I mentioned up the top: Yandy, Aranda, Junior Caminero, and at the moment, Brandon Lau. I would love for them to go add another bat, and you could have 5 deep and then sort of plug some of those other guys around them. And I think you're working with something. But as currently constructed, I think it's going to be an uphill battle for the Rays to be competitive this season. Lonnie says the Rays front office voodoo magic seems to be drying up. Well, what I don't like is they made some trades at the deadline last year. And I'm not mad at them for making trades at the deadline. They were out of it, and they were trying to get value back for some of those players. But they traded Zach Littell to Cincinnati, and all of the players that they got back for Zach Littell are no longer on the roster. So all they did was just move Zach Littell for nothing, essentially. And then they traded Curtis Mead away, which I'm not really hung up on Curtis Mead one way or the other. He just never performed in a Rays uniform. I think we would be more irritated that they traded Christopher Sanchez for Curtis Mead, and Christopher Sanchez is now, a Cy Young candidate, and one of the best pitchers in baseball. You're more irritated about that. But they traded Curtis Mead to the White Sox. They got Adrian Hauser back. Hauser was okay. He was okay with the Rays. Anything great. Kind of an inning eater type of guy. And I was alarming to me whenever you're 32 years old and all of a sudden you put together your best year. So I don't blame the Rays for not going out of their way to bring him back. He signed a 2-year, $22 million deal with the Giants. But point being is they made some trades last year, and Caballero's another one. They traded him to the Yankees. The player they got back that mattered the most was Pereira. He's not even on the 40-man roster for the Rays, so he doesn't look like he's going to be a factor this year. So outside of the trade where they moved Taj Bradley for Griffin Jacks, which I think was a really smart move. I think Griffin Jacks last year, the numbers I don't think told the story of, maybe how good the stuff was. And he got hit around a little bit more last year than he had the previous years. I think Griffin Jacks is going to be much better this year. I think with Pete Fairbanks out of the way, Griffin Jacks is probably going to be in contention to be your closer. And I think he's better suited for that role. And you're going to be going back inside the trop. I think that's another key thing. The pitchers don't have to play in Steinbrenner anymore. They get to play back at the trop, and we know the pitching has always been better there. And, that bullpen has a lot of really good talent in it. So that's something that we know. I think they're going to try to get back to the basics and let that pitching sort of try to win them some ball games this year. But yes, the Jacks trade I like, but all the other trades, they didn't really get much out of it, So yeah, they haven't, the magic might be waiting off a little bit, to your point, Lonnie. And then Airweed said JT on a decline, but still hit 257 last season. In the last decade, which one of our catchers could hit like that? Even JT on a decline is better than what we've had. You're not wrong. I'm not saying I wouldn't love to have JT Realmuto on the team, but I just don't think that's a realistic possibility. I just don't think it is. I can't see JT Realmuto at this stage in his career. He's 35 years old now, going, I just played in, one of the big market teams in Philadelphia for the last 7 or 8 years. And now I'm going to go join the Rays, who don't look like they have a pathway at the moment to be a World Series contender. That's just not going to happen. So yeah, but I agree with you. I agree with your point though. Realmuto in decline is still better than what the Rays had, but we'll see. We got a lot of offseason to go. It is only December 18th. And as we know, MLB free agency, MLB offseason typically moves at a snail's pace. That's typically what happens. But at the same time, you'll have a day like last week where nothing was going on. Then all of a sudden, Pete Alonso signed. That's probably what's going to happen with Kyle Tucker. There's going to be a slow moving day where nothing's coming out. No signings are being made. And then boom, Kyle Tucker has signed with whoever. That's just what's going to happen. So long way to go. We'll see how this roster sort of shakes up, but I think that pretty much covers it there for where the Rays are right now and what kind of moves they might be looking at going forward. All right, I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, I'm going to switch back over to a little bit of college football talk because this weekend we have the college football with all of the committees and which teams got snubbed and deserving, strength of schedules, strength of records, all these crazy metrics that I really am exhausted about. All that's out the window. We got football games this weekend, so I'm going to dive in to some of those. As always, thank you to all of the great sponsors that you see down there below. Please support them as they do a great job advertising for the show and keeping the lights on here so that we can entertain y'all. So thank you guys so much. Continues to flood in the comments anything you guys want to get me to. I will get to it. Back in 3.
You know, holidays are the best time to get engaged because all the family's already together. And at the Golden Diamond Source, they have thousands of diamonds to choose from in their jewelry wonderland. Looking for a gift that says forever? Find stunning engagement rings, diamond earrings, diamond bracelets, the most stylish gold fashion jewelry. And there's plenty for men in their new men's section and watch department. There's something for everyone on your list. And don't settle for anything less than perfection. At the Golden Diamond Source, they make it easy to give a gift they'll never forget. They wrap it up nice for you. You don't have to do any of that, guys. And they have a great staff there. You may not know what to get your lovely wife or girlfriend, but they do. Let them do the work. Hey, finance your purchase for 0% interest for up to 5 years. You could get a $5,000 diamond for only $84 a month. Don't go to the mall. Go to a local company and keep it local this Christmas at the Golden Diamond Source. 3800 Ulmerton Road. Always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent-rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group. Welcome to Kingmakers, home of the J.P. Peterson Show studio and Tampa's premier business networking and social club for members only. By day, it's an exclusive, vibrant co-working space with a stylish conference room, focus rooms, a full production studio, and an in-house marketing team. And by night, Kingmakers transforms into a sports-centric social hub with a full sports bar, golf simulator, and exclusive events. For young entrepreneurs and seasoned professionals, it's the perfect place to work hard, play hard, and make big moves in Midtown Tampa. Close the deal, celebrate the win. Only at Kingmakers. Become a member today at kingmakerstampa.com. Your business, your club. JP here for Third Generation AC and Plumbing. And Third Generation really says it all, folks. The owner, my friend John Rodriguez, has been in the AC and plumbing business since 1995. They built their business on honest assessments and doing great work on time for a great price. Simple, right? Did you know many AC techs are incentivized on big commissions to sell new AC units and you might just need a drain cleared? So if you want someone you can trust, that's John Rodriguez in Third Generation Services. Check out the 5-star Google reviews. If you have a plumbing or AC emergency, call 813-961-8024 and a human will answer the phone. That's 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, voted number 3 People's Choice Award on Open Table. I want to thank all our loyal family of customers that have been enjoying our great traditional Italian dishes we make from scratch every day. It's a great family story we're proud of. Our family moved from Rimini, Italy in 1984. My dad, Caesar, started Donatello, and that's where I got the start in the restaurant business. I started Caffè Paradiso on South McDill in 1995, and we've been there ever since. From our traditional ossobuco, a veal slow roast for 4 hours, to our daily fresh catch, the Gruppo Paradiso, with a piccata sauce and lobster claw meat, homemade pasta like lasagna, lasagna, farfalle salchicha, which is a bow tie pasta homemade with fresh sausage. Hold on a minute, JP's favorite.
I love it.
So come and have a glass of wine with me on South McDill. Get a reservation on Open Table and see all our 5-star reviews. Ciao, see you soon at Paradiso.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to a Thursday edition of JP Peterson Show. Nick Geddes flying in solo. We close this one out here. Just had some good baseball discussion there, and I went here on Twitter in the break to see if I missed anything. And we have the World Baseball Classic coming up, by the way, in just a couple of months. And obviously, a couple years ago, that was a spectacle. That was fantastic. And we already know that there are some Rays pitchers. Garrett Clevenger is going to be there for Team USA. Griffin Jax is going to be there for Team USA. And that's usually always been the issue, is getting star pitchers to play in the World Baseball Classic for obvious reasons. You know, teams typically don't want their topper rotation guys pitching before the season like that when they're not all the way worked up, injury concerns and whatnot. But we already had Paul Skeens commit to pitching for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. And now I just saw minutes ago, Tariq Skubal is going to pitch for Team USA. So how about that? Team USA is putting together their best rotation that they've ever had in the World Baseball Classic. It's Paul Skeens and Tariq Skubal, probably the two nastiest pitchers right now in the league. And Joe Ryan, the former Ray, the Ray that got away, if you will, making up the front three of that rotation. So, and we already know the lineup is absolutely loaded. The best players at their positions who are American are basically playing in this tournament. So I'm going to be fired up about that. If it's anything like it was 3 years ago, this is going to be great. So cannot wait for that. And then the last note on the Rays here, because then I saw Rosenthal put an article out with some intel. For what it's worth, the Rays they pursued Jorge Polanco, but were ultimately outbid by this is from Rosenthal's article in The Athletic. The Rays pursued Jorge Polanco, but ultimately were outbid by the Mets, who agreed with the free agent infielder on a 2-year, $40 million contract. The Rays envisioned Polanco joining a rotation at first, second, third, and DH. So he would have been a platoon player for them. And he would have been in a lineup that included Aranda, Diaz, Lau, Caminero, yada, yada, yada. So they tried to go get Jorge Polanco, who had a career year last year for the Mariners. He goes to the Mets, going to play first base for them and probably some other positions. But just tells you right there, the Rays are trying to make improvements, and they clearly are trying to get a big bat in the lineup. It hasn't worked out yet, but like I had mentioned, there's still time there. But anyway, I wanted to get to the college football playoff, because tomorrow we have a football game. We actually have 3 football games tomorrow, but the only one that matters, 8 o'clock tomorrow night on ABC and ESPN, a rematch between Alabama and Oklahoma, number 9 Alabama versus number 8 Oklahoma. This game's going to be played in Norman, and these two teams played not too long ago, and Oklahoma was able to sneak on by Alabama on the road, which basically cemented their place in the college football playoff. Alabama has not been playing good football for a while now. I think that goes without saying, but Ty Simpson has not looked as effective as he was in the early part of the season. It doesn't matter what Alabama has tried to do on the ground this year, Jam Miller or not. They have no running game to speak of. And Ryan Grubb, he said yesterday that he's tried everything, and they just cannot run the football. And it just is what it is. Ryan Williams, after the year he had last year as a true freshman, he has not been the same player this year. It's basically been Jeremy Bernard, who has been the top receiver for Bama, and they've had some other injury concerns. I don't think that offensive line is as stellar as it's been in years past, so I'm not big on Alabama here, and especially now they have to go on the road to play Oklahoma, but at the same time, it's really hard to beat a team twice. Really hard to beat a team twice in the same season, and that's the thing with Oklahoma. Are they ready? Are they at that point? John Mateer looked like the Heisman frontrunner the first handful of weeks of the season. Then he hurt his hand. And since then, Oklahoma has found ways to win football games, primarily because of their defense. And Mateer has sort of just been kind of along for the ride. And it sounds like he's still dealing with that hand injury. It's something that just won't go away. We'll see. It might be something that he has to have surgery on in the offseason. Not sure. But I'm curious to see which Oklahoma we get here. Really curious to see. It's really hard to beat a team twice. And I think for that reason, I'm kind of leaning Alabama in this game. The spread is basically a toss-up. It has Oklahoma right now as a 1.5 favorite. The over-under is set at 39.5, so they're projecting a low-scoring game. I basically agree with that. But I think I'm leaning Alabama, but that should be fun tomorrow night. A home playoff game in Memorial Stadium. That stadium is going to be rocking. And then on Saturday, we get the other 3 playoff games at noon. Probably the most anticipated game of the first round here. Miami is going to go on the road against Texas A&M, and then that's followed by Tulane and Ole Miss, another rematch. And then at night, the mighty James Madison Dukes face the Oregon Ducks in Eugene. I'll start with Miami and Texas A&M. I believe that Miami should have been in the playoff, and I don't think this should have been a discussion. I think I've made that very clear that when you have similar resumes, you're both 10-2, but you have head-to-head to go off of, Miami had to be in the playoff. We can debate the way the committee did it and how ridiculous it was, but I think Miami had to be here based on that head-to-head over Notre Dame. And they faced Texas A&M. Texas A&M looked like maybe the best team in the country at times this year. And then late in the season, they had the scare against South Carolina, and then they had the loss on the road to Texas, which was a pretty convincing win for the Longhorns. So now there's all these questions about A&M, and if you go back and look at who they played, they beat Notre Dame. You absolutely get credit for beating Notre Dame on the road. Their SEC schedule was Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, Arkansas, LSU, Missouri, South Carolina, and Texas. The only team they played that was in the top half of the SEC this year was Texas, and they lost by 10. Granted, Texas was playing for a lot more in that game than A&M was, but it's just something worth pointing out. And I've pointed this out about the conferences are just way too big. They are way too big in college football that you can have a team like Texas A&M basically avoid the entire top half of the SEC. Now, that's just the way it fell. It's not their fault, and they won their big out-of-conference game, so absolutely they get credit for them. Not saying I'm not big on Texas A&M or anything like that, but now they face Miami, and I think Miami's a better team than anybody they've played this year. Miami's thing is always going to come down to Mario Cristobal and some of his in-game coaching decisions. Do you trust him in a close football game? That's always going to be a big question with him. And Miami had a couple slip-ups, but they ended the year really strong. Carson Beck played really well down the stretch for him. Is that going to continue? But Miami now has to go on the road in an environment where they're going to be playing in front of over 100,000 people. Miami has not had to play in an environment like that all year long. I'm not sure when the last time actually Miami had to do that. So that's going to be something that I'm looking forward to. But these two teams physically, as I see Aviation commented down here, Miami can compete in the trenches and might possibly have the better weapons. See, that's the thing. Miami in the trenches is I think is as good as anybody in the sport. You know, I think that's the one thing. Cristobal has done a fantastic job getting the right dudes, the right athletes in the trenches for Miami. And it absolutely, I think, resembles what kind of an SEC team usually looks like in that department. So I think Miami can definitely compete there. You mentioned the weapons. Malachi Toney as a true freshman, been fantastic. One of the best receivers in the sport. CJ Daniels right there with him. You do make a good point. Beck has played in those SEC environments, and Beck is 34-5 as a starter. You know, it might not necessarily be a Carson Beck stat, but for what it's worth, the guy's only lost 5 games in his college football career. So take that for what it's worth. I think this is going to be. I also think this is going to be a low-scoring game because I think when you get into these playoff environments, I think both these teams really strong in the trenches. I think it's going to be a battle of wills and which team can establish the run. Texas A&M, we'll see if they get Le'Veon Moss back. They're a very talented running back. It seems like he might be questionable for this one. That's going to be a big deal for them. Miami, obviously, with Mark Fletcher. So I'm looking forward to this game. I think this is the most anticipated game by far in this first round. I would love to see Miami go out there and pull it off. I would. I think I'm going to give the edge to A&M here just a little bit because they have this game at home. And I think I trust Marcel Reed just a little bit more than Carson Beck and come down to it to make some more plays at the quarterback position. But I'm not discounting Miami at all. Miami could win this game, and it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. The other two games are pretty much straightforward, I think. Perhaps once upon a time, the G5 teams, the G6 teams would have a chance in the playoff. But in this current era of college football, I think it's practically impossible to have a G6 team that is well-rounded enough and has some of the dudes all over the place to compete with these teams. I don't think Tulane's going to be able to do that. I just don't. Tulane's got some good players for sure, but Ole Miss has got some dudes. And Lane Kiffin or not, Chambliss, Lacey, all the receivers, their defense, Pete Golding being there, team looks like they're ready to play and they want to run through a brick wall for their coach. I think they're going to be motivated. I think Ole Miss, they rolled Tulane 45-10 when these two teams played earlier this year. I don't know if it's going to be that drastic, but I think Ole Miss is probably going to win this game comfortably. I don't think these G6 teams, like, for example, the 2021 Cincinnati team, that team was loaded. And that team had NFL guys all over the roster that are in the league right now. That's not Tulane this year. Even the 2017 UCF team, obviously. I don't think these two teams, I don't think them or JMU, Tulane or JMU match up to what those teams were, some of the other Boise teams we used to see. It's just not the same. So I just struggle to see a pathway for them to pull out a victory here. And the same goes even more so for JMU against Oregon. With all respect to JMU, it's not their fault, by the way. It's not their fault that they're here. You can honestly blame Miami for tripping up in 2 football games they shouldn't have and not giving the ACC a conference champion that could go into the playoff and Duke somehow being able to win that conference. That's not JMU's fault. It's the system you have. With that being said, JMU is going to get run off the football field. It just is. This isn't college basketball. There's not going to be some miracle that happens on that field in Eugene. It's just not going to happen. All respect to JMU. Great year. Fun for them to be in the playoff. The revenue they're going to get from this is great. Billy Napier is going to take over that program, and hopefully they'll have the same success. But the Oregon Ducks are all right. They're going to run it up on them in this game. And honestly, I don't think Oregon has to play many of their starters in this football game that long. I think Oregon has the advantage of being able, they have such a deep roster, and I know they're banged up at receiver, but they have such a deep roster. They're playing at home. They know what's ahead of them. Dan Lanning is a fantastic coach. He knows how to keep this team focused. I don't think this is going to be a case where they're just looking ahead to Texas Tech. I think they're going to take care of business. They're going to keep this game out of reach from the beginning, and they're going to move on and go play Texas Tech in a big game. I'm losing my voice here. Sorry, guys. Aviation said Tulane covers 17.5. I think I'm probably going to take Ole Miss over on that. I'm going to take Ole Miss. So, yeah, I don't think both of these games are going to be particularly close. It's great that they're there, but I don't think their stay in the college football playoff is going to be long. All right, I'm going to take one more break, and when we come back, I'm going to wrap some things up and get out of here and hopefully find my voice a little bit. I'm starting to lose it. We'll be back here in just about 4 minutes. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Italiano Insurance would like to congratulate the Bucs on their 50th anniversary season. And you know what? We've been here for every season and then some, over 60 years in business. We've seen some smart coaches with great game plans, but if you don't have flood insurance or business insurance, That's a terrible game plan. That could ruin you financially. You don't want to take that L. So call 813-877-7799 and let their friendly agents quarterback your insurance and save you big money. Italiano also sponsors our FSU report every week, so go Noles. 813-877-7799 or go to italianoinsurance.com. At Genesis of Tampa, they got some serious ho-ho-ho going on this Christmas. It's the Miracle Holiday Sales Event and their 30 days of giving. First, for any new vehicle in the month of December sold, first payment will be deferred 90 days, and then the dealership will make the first payment up to $500. That can save you a lot of cash that you can use for Christmas shopping. And every day in December, they're giving away a $500 shopping spree. All you got to do is have your car appraised, and you get an entry into the daily drawing for the $500 shopping spree. And every weekend day in December, customers simply need to stop by the dealership, scan the QR code, and they get an entry into the $500 shopping spree contest. No purchase necessary. Test drive a vehicle, and we will 10x your entry into the shopping spree. Christmas and New Year's Eve, each holiday, if a customer books a test drive for the specified day, they will receive a themed t-shirt, limited edition, as well as an additional $250 off the purchase price. Bottom line is, get your butt and your sleigh down to Genesis of Tampa, 801 East Bears Avenue, just off 275. It's going to be a big Christmas at Genesis of Tampa. Although it may seem tempting to go without health care insurance, the financial risk far outweighs the gain you may experience. For example, did you know if you simply broke your leg, it could cost you nearly $7,500? Put on top of that a hospital stay, you could be looking at $10,000 to $15,000. Ensuring that you don't go uncovered is so important, as according to CNBC, high medical bills are the highest contributing factor to why Americans end up taking money out of their retirement savings, or worse, find themselves filing bankruptcy. So go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. Now, depending on your income, you can get plans for zero premium. Our experts will guide you through the process effortlessly. They will shop many plans and find the one that's right for you. I called and I have full health coverage through Florida Blue for zero monthly premium. It's a free call. So why go uncovered? It's a huge risk. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505. You know, holidays are the best time to get engaged because all the family's already together. And at the Golden Diamond Source, they have thousands of diamonds to choose from in their jewelry wonderland. Looking for a gift that says forever? Find stunning engagement rings, diamond earrings, diamond bracelets, the most stylish gold fashion jewelry. And there's plenty for men in their new men's section and watch department. There's something for everyone on your list. And don't settle for anything less than perfection. At the Golden Diamond Source, they make it easy to give a gift they'll never forget. They wrap it up nice for you. You don't have to do any of that, guys. And they have a great staff there. You may not know what to get your lovely wife or girlfriend, but they do. Let them do the work. Hey, finance your purchase for 0% interest for up to 5 years. You could get a $5,000 diamond for only $84 a month. Don't go to the mall. Go to a local company and keep it local this Christmas at the Golden Diamond Source. 3800 Ulmerton Road. Always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey, think about the greatest tandems in sports. Montana to Rice, Brady to Gronk, Baker to Mike Evans. Well, here's a new one. Third generation plumbing and American Standard heating and cooling units. Our split systems offer the highest efficiency available while reducing energy bills and maximizing comfort. Third generation plumbing can handle anything mechanical around the house, plumbing, AC, whatever, and they install the best American Standard heating and cooling units. Built to last, made to perform. Whether it's a new install or an emergency repair, our family-owned team brings 3 generations of trusted service to your home, now with the unmatched reliability of American Standard heating and cooling. So don't wait for the summer heat to return. We've got you covered. Call Third Generation Plumbing and American Standard Heating and Cooling, 813-961-8024. That's 813-961-8024, or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. I'm going to close it out here with just a few items. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today here on a Thursday. JP again will be back tomorrow with Tim Ham for the full 2 hours as he recovers from back surgery. If you tuned in late and missed it, JP joined me today for the first 40 minutes, and we talked about the USF loss yesterday in the Cure Bowl, some Lightning updates, and of course dove into this big Bucs game on Sunday against the Carolina Panthers to decide first place in the NFC South. So looking forward to that. At least I think I am. I don't know yet what we're getting in that one. Just a couple updates here before I sign off. It looks like it is in fact going to happen tonight. The Lightning play the Los Angeles Kings at the bench, and Vasilevsky looks like he's going to be back in net. He's missed 6 or 7 games, so good to see him back. And Ryan McDonough, who's been out for a while, looks like he's going to make his return tonight. So the Lightning going through a little bit of a skid here, but before that they were sort of managing well without some of their top guys, but they're going to get them back, some of them at least tonight. We'll see about Brandon Hagel. He seems uncertain for tonight. If I had to imagine, he's probably not going to play this game. Maybe more in play on Saturday when they face the Carolina Hurricanes, who look like they might be the best team going right now in the Eastern Conference. So that's going to be a good one. So a couple Lightning updates there. And then for the Bucs, it looks like they're going to get Tyke Smith back this week. He did not play in that Atlanta game. I think he was sorely missed. Zion is on injured reserve, so would expect Benjamin Morrison to step right in there and be the starting outside corner opposite Jamel Dean. Cross your fingers that both of those guys make it through a game healthy. With Jamel, you always don't know, and Ben has obviously been dealing with some injury issues of his own. But whoever is going to be matched up against Tet McMillan, that's going to be the big matchup in that game, even though Tet McMillan has not really, the Panthers haven't really gotten him going the last 3 games. I think I mentioned 5 catches in his last 3 games. So he might be due. And if there's ever a defense to be due against, I guess it is this Buccaneer team. Last thing I wanted to mention, this is a kind of a Bucs note, kind of not, but I just found this hilarious. And so I had to mention it. I'm sure everybody saw this. The back and forth on Twitter between our old friend Devin White and Greg Allman. This started, for those who didn't see it yesterday, Ian Rappaport put out this bizarre tweet, and a very bizarre. It's been a challenging season in Las Vegas, but the Raiders have some success stories. Linebacker Devin White is a big one. He's emerged as a potential comeback player of the year candidate in Patrick Graham's scheme as the 5th player in team history to eclipse 140 tackles. With 1 sack, White could join DeMario Davis as one of 2 players since 2019 to get 700-plus tackles and 25 sacks. If there was ever an agent made me write this tweet, it was that one right there from Ian Rappaport. And that's not surprising. Rappaport has done this. Schefter has done this. Jordan Schultz has done this. All of the big NFL insiders seem to put out this agent spin stuff from time to time. And this was absolutely hilarious. Devin White is not a comeback player of the year candidate at all. Devin White, you think linebacker play in Tampa is bad? Devin White is playing the position as bad as we've ever seen it been played this year for the Raiders. He is even worse right now than he was when he was with the Bucs. So, respectfully, I don't care about his 150 tackles. And I love Greg Allman, who commented back, volume tackle stats could be misleading. White had 7 tackles on the Eagles' last drive Sunday, where they went 79 yards in 17 plays to burn 11 minutes off the clock, leading 31-0. Devin White responded back, basically saying that even if we're getting blown out, I'm still doing my job. And then he goes out to tells Greg Allman, I don't play for the Bucs, and yet I'm who you worry about. #weird. And Greg said, you played 5 years here. Lots of writers know what former players are doing with other teams. Really not that weird, which is true. Devin White responded again, basically saying, if I get 20 tackles in the 4th quarter, I still have to do my job. And what's my job? To tackle the ball carrier. And Greg Allman, spicy with the return, said, I think someone's going to remind you soon not to worry about social media, and you'll just delete these soon anyway. It's all good. And yes, those tweets have since been deleted by Devin White. And Greg Allman even said Rappaport. The with one sack part is intriguing until you see White has one sack in his last 23 games, and he had 20 and a half of those sacks his first 4 seasons. He has 3.5 over the last 3.5 seasons. So there's nothing there. And then Greg also said the AP Comeback Award is specifically only for players coming off injury, not their own mediocrity. So it seems like Devin White has not changed one bit. Devin is always about him. He's always been about him. He's always going to be about him. There's been no maturity in that standpoint from him since he really entered the league. Jason Like had that comment a few months ago or whatever, where he said he would never, if he could go back in time, he would never take Devin White. And Devin, listen, he was a big part of that Super Bowl run. We're not going to take that away from him, but that's a guy that just doesn't seem like he gets it. And that was a fun little exchange right there after a hilarious tweet, because he is not a Comeback Player of the Year award candidate. In fact, if you go on any if you go to any if you go on DraftKings, FanDuel, any of that stuff and go to Comeback Player of the Year, Devin White's not even listed. He's not a candidate. He's playing the position as bad as you could possibly play it. But that's the Raiders' problem. It's the Raiders' problem for sure. All right, I'm going to end on that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on this Thursday. Really appreciate it. I'm going to be back here on Monday with JP, and we are going to go all in on this Buccaneer-Panthers game on Sunday. We'll see if the Bucs are able to pull this one off after what was a very, very in the building, I guess you could say. Let's see how this team responds. Carolina Panthers continue to give them more life. Let's see if the Buccaneers can take this back and get back on track. So y'all enjoy that. JP will be back here tomorrow, like I mentioned, for the full 2 hours with Tim, and I will see you guys on Monday. Until then, everyone have a great day and have a great weekend in Tampa Bay. See you then.